What's the big idea?
All right, so
3,
and
2,
we are rolling.
1. Oh, we are rolling.
Yep. Help! My
Help.
my kid isn't playing. That's today's episode.
Excellent.
From the your friends at VOLLEYBALLOGY. This is episode number 14. Episode 14, and everybody, the band is back together again.
Right.
My name is Zuby,
My name's Erik.
My name's Meach.
and we are
Volleyball.
Erik. Still, you're not doing that well.
I did. I tried.
You're off. You're off the team.
I'm okay with that.
You're not playing. You're on the bench.
Which is the topic
Segue.
of today's episode.
It is. It is. What to do if your kid is not, or some practical advice for your child and for you as a parent if your kid isn't getting playing time. Now, should I? There's a thought I had about this, about categories. I don't know. Did any of you guys think about categories when you were thinking about the show?
Oh, absolutely.
I created.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
What did
I
you?
created some categories for sure.
What, like, categories meaning?
I
what?
created 2 scenarios really that I want to approach this with.
Okay. So why don't we do this? So we don't.
Do
Really
you want me to explain them?
Why don't you just tell them? Welcome to Movie Phone. Okay, here, I'll give you my categories, and then we'll go through and see if it hits what you guys were talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
we'll probably steal each other's topics a little bit.
Well, what we'll
Probably.
do is I want to just discuss each category, and then we'll see if there's overlap.
Cool.
So my first one, I basically said that there are 3 types of kids, I think, and parents that are involved in this situation. You know, if someone's not playing or getting enough playing time, I break them down into 3 categories. I see the player who is not, like, sort of isn't working hard and misses practices, lower skill level, and the parent and the player are still livid. That exists. There's parents out there that will say that they should be playing more, and they're not working hard enough, not showing up on time, and the skill level isn't there. So that's one category for me that we should probably talk about.
Okay.
The second one I had is the realistic parent. So this is the kid that might not be there yet in terms of playing, but they show up, they work hard, and they are going to get their chance, but they're still understanding that they aren't deserving of all the playing.
Despite category number 1, right?
Yeah, like so number 1 is one type of kid and parent that are delusional, not working hard.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is a kid that is working hard but just not ready in terms of skill, and they understand why they don't get the playing time they do yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we'll talk about that. There's probably never a time where a kid should be on the bench like a whole tournament, or like that's pretty much garbage, especially the younger they are.
Mm-hmm.
And even, you know, older, if we're talking up to 18, that's still very young in volleyball terms.
Yeah.
And then the third one for me is the kid that's legitimately getting ripped off. The kid that is as good or better than the kid ahead of them. And I think this is the one that a lot of parents feel. And it's hard to tell if the parents, you got to be careful, because some parents only look at their kid and only notice their kid. But I see it a lot with kids, other kids, that kid is as good or better than the player that's getting all the time, and for some reason the coach, and even works harder, has a better attitude, but there's something weird with that coach playing that player.
Yeah.
So those are my 3 big categories, and we can go back over them later. But what did you guys have for categories? Erik, Meach, whoever.
I kind of divided it into subcategories of specific reasons why they might not be playing.
Okay.
But we'll go through that topic.
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
And we'll probably, like we always do, we'll hit all the topics, I think.
Yeah,
It encompasses a little of all.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right. I overlapped for sure. I made just 2 scenarios really. It's like ideal scenario where you have a good coach, and then it's like we look at, hey, help, my kid isn't playing. You have a good coach, and then you look at it like, how my kid isn't playing, but the coach is terrible. Because that's a lot of things like coaches kept coming up, right? So it's like, okay, like let the coach be this one thing in this scenario, and let's look at it this way,
Gotcha.
right? So
Yep, that's another way to do it.
but I think it ends up just kind of being very similar.
It's the same. Yeah. It's sort of because these are all dependent on how good the coach is too, right?
Yeah.
The coach will be, the delusional kid version of my scenario or parent. That's probably working with a good coach because the coach is like, you're never here. You're not trying.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good coach probably that shouldn't. I mean, it'd be awful. I mean, we talked about this before too. If that coach was playing that kid who doesn't show up and doesn't work hard a lot, then that's how you get that toxic culture.
Yeah.
I'm sure parents out there can relate to that. The toxic culture when a kid is getting rewarded for bad behavior. Okay, so maybe we'll go through them all, and then you guys, I think your notes will cover this too, and my notes will hit on a few things. But so let's deal with that delusional kid, isn't working hard, misses practice, not ready. What advice do you have for those parents that have a kid that, I mean, I guess it's hard. Is it impossible to know if you're delusional?
Well, you're definitely partly delusional to it, or you're ignorant of it in a way.
It takes a real step back. So I kind of want to look at the intangibles of things that parents might not be able to see, or even the player might not be able to see.
So what's the checklist? What do you say for how you might be a delusional parent if
let's say, for example, something that you can't maybe particularly see is I always look at the attendance.
That's
when
the
they're
easy.
showing up, right? But you can't necessarily see what the coach would see in terms of their attentiveness. Is your kid going
right
like this? Is your kid goofing off with other players? That might be things that are not looked at and that you can't see as a parent because you're away from it. Right?
You might not even be there.
Yeah,
you might not even be there
on a lot of occasions.
Oh, yeah,
so.
that's a great point. Yeah, because coaches are seeing and aware. So there is, you want to cut some slack sometimes, even if the kid is there.
Yeah,
attendance is the easiest though, right? I think we agree. If you're missing practice once a week or once every 2 weeks, and your kid doesn't start the next tournament, I think you should factor that into your.
If your kid is late and you're in the car ride, you, the parent, are complaining to your kid about how they're not being played, you're delusional for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I mean is that if the kid is missing practices at all,
missing.
Whether they drive them there or not, like, so if a kid is missing practices, that parent has to be honest with themselves and say that is number one reason why a kid should miss.
Yeah, factor number one.
Even the best kid on the team should not be playing a lot if they're missing a lot of practices.
Just come to expect it overall as a parent. Hey, you've missed a practice. Okay, that could be a game or tournament.
Yeah, depending on the reason, right?
Yeah,
there's obviously good reasons. Some coaches, they do stick to that rule even if the kid is like really sick or contagious or like concussed.
Yeah.
I always tell players though, if you are like injured, then you should probably go to practice anyway. And sit on the bench because the coach. Because the coach. I tell my players because we're going to work on some systems, and I don't want to have to explain. It's like missing a class, right? It should be a good coach's practice should be like a class. Yeah, the last thing you want is a kid who's like practice is the same. It's repetitive. That's why I don't go. And you're like, okay, but there's something in life about even if practice sucks, you got to be there.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's job training, it's life training. There's stuff that everybody doesn't want to do, and they got to do it. So it's good for parents. So that's number one. So
that shouldn't even be a point questionable at all. If you're injured, don't show up. It's like you do because you're mentally fine. It's like
I agree, and you're not contagious or anything.
That's what I mean. Like we can't use this framework of like it's not the same. It's completely different from being sick, or it's not the same as having a migraine or something. But depending on severity of headache or something. But if you're mentally all good, you're just injured.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to be there.
I agree. Yeah. If you're not contagious, if it's not a brain injury, if you're not like migraine is a different scenario for sure.
Migraine. Yeah.
Sometimes we did have an issue. Like my daughter this week had been, she played, her volleyball school team had a tryout after school. Then she had a scrimmage that night against the college varsity team as a 18-year-old club team. Then the next morning, her school put in who does that? Who does an after school one day and then next morning at 7 a.m. And then she had another.
What?
Yeah.
Same coach?
Same coach, yeah. But they did it because they said normally they were going to be in the mornings. They just had to, the first day, they said they just had to tell them that it was going to be in the mornings in that first practice. But they should have skipped a day, right? You don't go after school one day, morning the next, especially when you know they're club players. So she had practice after school, club practice after that, next morning volleyball, and then we were like, you know what? She's not going to be at club practice. Normally she's going to prioritize club practice, but her coaches in high school are a little drooling over the fact that the team's looking pretty strong. And so they're like, yeah, we're going to work really hard, but they're forgetting that these are club players, right? And
So you should have skipped the school practice.
yeah, but it was already,
Or not skip
it was
it,
the
but
first week of school
wrong word,
practice,
but-
and she was picking to be setter. So she's picking to be setter, and these are the first two
Yeah,
practices after
yeah.
the team was picked.
Kinda
So
have to.
I normally would have had my daughter email the coaches. That's another thing, parents, by the way. You know, once your kid gets past a certain age, have your kids have the initiative to talk with the coach
Yeah.
by messaging, secure, safe messaging things, by the way. You know, not text numbers, but, you know, usually most teams are using like an app now where everything's visible and clean. So coaches don't have to worry about that, but, or an email that's, you know, fairly, you know, that way it's traceable content. But, but she had such a migraine. That's why she missed, because she had a migraine because she overdid it.
Yeah.
And she also was going to get injured, like for sure, right? That's too much. So that's different. But yeah, for sure. So attendance is the first thing that a parent has to look for. So if your kid's not playing, ask yourself, am I showing up? Is the kid showing up?
Number one.
Number one, are they on time? And then Meach, you raised a good point. Are they paying attention in class? Or sorry, in in practice.
Yeah.
Are they goofing around? What else could a delusional, like a parent, what is another sign of a kid that's like delusionally wanting more playing time, or a parent?
Maybe I guess even understanding in that the intendance of those meetings. So are they getting it? That's something else that you might not be able to see is if a certain play is being designed.
Right.
Do they understand the concept? That might hold their playing back until they can get that concept.
And that's a great point, because that's something that the parent might not see, right?
Yeah.
Because volleyball can get confusing the older you go up the ladder.
Oh yeah.
And switching, you know, that first year when kids start to learn switching, so you're looking at me like, why does our team have, three left sides or whatever? There are two left sides because they don't know how to switch. Or that's a good one. The parent might see that the kid can play well, they're showing up, but maybe mentally they're not grasping it, which is fine, because I mean eventually you will. But there are some kids, I've seen that a lot, where there's some players that are not switching and coaches are getting angry. And, if you keep saying it and the kid can't get it, then you have to, Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times too, it's not like you can go back to your parent and say, I didn't quite understand what was happening in the drills I had at practice. The only way to know is, and to get a feel for it, is to be at the practice, get that understanding from your teammates. And usually the parents can't say, oh, well, you just run this way and this way. Yeah. It just doesn't translate.
Exactly. So
most of the time.
So what's the advice here then, really? Like, actually, the advice probably is for the parent who's frustrated with their kid not playing, what should probably be step number one? You have an idea, or what do you think? Like, what could that parent do to maybe have these? How could they figure out these answers if they don't know them? Who can you ask?
Volleyballology is a good way.
I don't know, Zuby. What are you thinking? You have something on your mind.
No, I was thinking. I was going back to this too. That's bad teaching, by the way. When you're a teacher, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to play guess what's in my head, and I did that.
That's what I was saying. I'm like, just say it.
I was sitting there going, "This is bad. This is against all pedagogical training I've had." No, what I was saying, the correct answer. No, the answer is that. The one answer is that the parent, especially the player, depending on the age, if it's an older player, over 15, 14, someone should have a nice, friendly discussion with the coach, right? And ask. Not in a mean way. Just say, hey, I wonder what, Becky or Sam or, I don't know, Frank or Julie or Veron. No. You guys are just going to let me go?
You were doing well.
Yeah, keep going.
You guys are just going to let me go.
When you run out of names.
How many names? Anyway, that was a test, and you guys failed. Test number 2.
Okay.
Guess what's in my head?
You're listing name from the comic?
I was just listing endless and unnecessary amounts of names, and neither of you picked up on like why is Zuby listing random names. That's very weird of you.
I think we were waiting for you to list
I
our
don't-
names.
before you
I
started
don't know,
listening.
teacher.
I,
I was taught not to interrupt the teacher. So.
I thought you were just not listening.
No.
No, we were listening intently.
Eric's
Don't worry.
tired.
Listening, unfortunately. I'm not tired.
You're tired. You're
I'm
getting
not
up at
tired.
4 a.m. Eric's getting up at 4 a.m. every day.
Why? You don't call someone tired, man.
Oh, I thought no, but you told me you're tired.
I told you I'd get up at 4 a.m.
I don't mean like you're tired, like Eric's tired.
Yeah.
I don't mean like that. I mean Eric is sleepy, physically exhausted.
Sure. Not
mentally
Not at all.
not there. It's not an insult when I say you're mentally not there. I'm just kidding. No, Eric's getting up super early these days. Plows a field.
So, what were we saying?
Okay, so I was saying, so if your name is you should ask the coach. You should have that conversation with the coach. Like, just wondering what can my child do to play more, or the better, even better, the player can say, hey, is there something that is affecting my playing time? Now, the big problem is if you're asking it, and your kid sucks really bad, and isn't working hard.
Yeah.
But the kids should still get playing time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The problem is some coaches just put the kids that are struggling at the end of the bench, and all you're doing there is ensuring that kid's going to stay really bad longer. Right? You got to go through that.
Do you think sometimes the situation unfolds differently where the coach approaches the parent after practice, and it's like, hey, after the practice before the tournament even happens, it's like, hey, no, I guess they wouldn't. Sorry, I'm playing this out of my head, but the coach, would they go up to the parent and be like, hey, you're showing up late or whatever? Or no, the coach would go to the player, I guess, depending on the age. They're super young, but if they're 14, 15, 16, they can say something to them. Because I think that happened a lot to us. When you show up late, sometimes the coach makes a point of it.
Yep.
Right? And then that kind of presents it not only to you, but to the whole team. Hey, so-and-so's late. They're going to, again, we're not for using physical punishment or whatever, but we typically had to do something, and it wasn't about the physical exertion. It was about making a display that I'm late. I'm going to go run 10 laps. Again, it's not physically going to kill you. It's just the team is going to be warming up, or the coach is having a lesson and you're missing out on it because you're running around, right? So you kind of look stupid. Your parent, I hope you don't look stupid, but you're a little embarrassed.
I know what you mean, though. Like that.
Yeah. So
there is some value in that.
There's totally some value in
Yeah.
that. It's happened to me. It's happened to people I played with.
All of us, yeah.
And then that kind of sets the precedent, right? Because as a kid, you're not thinking like this, but as the parent, you don't know what other families are sacrificing to get to be there.
Yep.
You don't even know what your coach is sacrificing, especially in the clubs we played. Our coaches were sacrificing a huge amount because they didn't even get paid for this, right? So that's probably the reason why that coach even did that, is because it's like, hey man, I'm here sacrificing my time. You're going to show up late. I'm going to make you look like an idiot. But then you're going to come in and you're going to rejoin this. And then it's all there's no grudge held or whatever. It's dropped, and then we're going to play the game, right? So
just a natural consequence for being late. And also there is a practical purpose too. You got to warm up the player. You're late, go warm up, run 10 laps.
That's how it was said too. Yeah.
But it also, it's a little bit of everybody, while the coach is having the huddle and there's one set of footsteps going around the outside of the gym. It's a nice way for the coach to teach players, this is why you don't show up late, because you are going to be centered out and you're going to be embarrassed. And really, the metaphor is, the reason why that's a good practice is because you will also be centered out on the court if you aren't there on time. If you are late, your skills in theory will diminish. You will know less than the other players. You won't switch properly. You'll be centered out that way. So where would you rather be centered out? In practice, in this closed group? And also the coach is worried about culture. The good coaches worry about, I don't want any kid, imagine if it's the best player on the team walking in, he's like, don't worry about it. Or she's the coach, like, don't worry about it. But if it's the worst player on the team or a middle player and they say, go do laps, that happens, right? We talked about that in other episodes. So having a conversation with Coach Meach, you can say something.
Yeah, for example, you also have to take a look at, is your kid or yourself, if you're the player, comfortable with the amount that you play before your parent says something or other
Yeah,
like that.
definitely. That's a great
Because
idea.
If the parent is thinking that, hey, I want to find out why my kid isn't playing more, but they're already comfortable with it, then really nothing needs to be done, because
Wow, that's
it measures the amount of the
Wait, they're comfortable with not playing?
comfortable level of playing. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Like Meach is saying. Well, I'll let you clean it up, Meach. Go ahead.
If your kid is comfortable, or as a player, if you're comfortable with the amount of playing time you're getting, then just stay there and have your parents hold the reins.
That's very interesting. Yeah, because a lot of times parents will wonder why their kids aren't playing, but their kid doesn't want to play more because
Right.
they're aware that they're not comfortable there, they're not performing as well, or they're intimidated. So you're right. The first step should be really.
or they're afraid of the answer, and that, like, say they're showing up on time, so then that's ruled out. So then why aren't they playing? Because
No.
They're
So
not
so
gonna-
what Meach is
or-
saying is it's irrelevant. Like first, before you even think, hey,
Oh.
we should be angry about something,
Oh,
have that conversation with your kid first.
right.
Because what if your
Well,
kid is
yeah,
totally
on a
happy?
different page.
And that's such a good point, Meach, because there are kids that are genuinely happy with not being the star, and they don't even want to be, or they're very aware. They might be more aware than the parent. And sometimes if a parent starts talking about playing time, and then they want to go talk to the coach, and then the kid's like, no, don't say anything. That conversation
Oh,
happens all the
yeah.
time, right? It's
Yeah.
embarrassing, right?
Yeah.
And that's where the parent has to check them. So that's a great point to raise, Meach. Have that conversation before. Are you happy on the team? Right? Are you having fun?
They wouldn't be happy. Like, they wouldn't be happy and show up late, though. I can't think that.
No,
would be-
but that's not what we're talking
So
about.
I know. I know. I'm
Yeah.
just bringing that into it.
Yeah,
now.
no, but that's it's a different conversation. So like,
Yeah.
no, what I mean is they might be happy with where they're not. Like, so the
Yeah.
coach is not giving them enough playing time or a lot of playing time, and maybe you need to see if that's okay with your kid.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we're not talking about the lateness factor. We're just talking about just from sheer skill or whatever decision making. But I
'Cause-
mean, the other side of that too is sometimes, depending on the age of the kid, it's weird for parents because, like, what if your kid's happy with playing time, but they deserve more? Like, what if they're better than someone? And then you get into, like, I'm a parent who there's so many endless possibilities. Like you're getting at that too, Erik. There's endless variables here, but like, what if the kid is? So if the kid is happy with being mediocre, I guess, but they deserve more, then it gets into like, but you got to be more assertive. Like, come on, like you're not being, then it's like you're not advocating for yourself. But I'm happy not advocating. That's tricky.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's up to the kid, because I don't think there's a team where everybody wants to be captain. Some people are really happy with the support role because they know kind of their place and how they can contribute.
Yeah.
And I think,
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree, because I think as the sport becomes more elite, like as the teams increase in eliteness, is that if the kid is okay with not playing that much, that means they're not going to have the drive to then try out for that whatever rank, I don't know what they rank them or whatever, triple A team or something like that, right?
Yeah,
So then they might actually play better on a lower ranked team because they'll feel more comfortable. It's less intense, less competitive. And then maybe, you're right.
Yeah.
Endless variables. They could be like, oh, I feel more comfortable on this team. And then they'll end up playing more, and that'll be great for them or something. Or
Yeah.
like the players level of passion will kind of lead to how far they're going to go in that sport.
Yeah. How fun would it be to be intimidated all the time because you're not at the right level for what you're playing?
Yeah.
I get, that must happen to a lot of kids where, like, their parent is obviously far more interested in the sport than they are, and the kid, like, is respectful and dedicated. They show up on time and they're good, they're skilled, but they're not the best, so they're not playing that much. But they keep getting pushed to keep trying out and they're a good teammate, so they keep making the team or something. I guess this is not a bad situation to be in, but it's not that great for the kid. They're not necessarily that enthusiastic about the sport. They're just a good kid, a good learner, and they keep making it on teams, but they don't. The parent is basically it's just the parent's more invested than the kid is. Does that happen? I'm sure it must.
Oh God, yes, all the time.
Yeah.
Because when we talked about this in the like how to not be that parent, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
parents'
you're right. I mean,
insecurity, right? If they're like, if the kid is content, the nightmare scenario where there's a, who maybe the kid's not delusional, maybe the parent is delusional, and also frustrated in their own insecurity, so they drag their kid. They want their, so this is everything. 90% of parents, or not 90%, but there's a lot of parents, right, where their lack of whatever they had in their life, they're gonna put on their kid. Like, yo, I was not an athlete. You're gonna be an athlete. I'll be honest with you, the bulk of club parents now were not athletes, right? That's why they don't know some of these things. So they put all of that on their kid, and that's when kids get burnout and they want to quit. Remember we talked about that recently, I think in a couple episodes, maybe the mental health one, where the parent wants it more than the kid, and then the parent puts the kid in everything, and the kid's like, I don't want to do all this stuff, and then by the time they're 14, they're like, I quit, and the parent's like, what do you mean you quit? Well, you made me quit. That's the risk. That's the thing with the delusional parents. That's a great point, Meach.
Right on.
So I would sum up the delusional parent. So the kid I go through a list of everything in your mind. If you're both unhappy, let's say they're both unhappy, the player and the parent are both unhappy with playing time. Make sure that you're taking, and you mentioned this in another episode before, make sure you're taking care of the things that you can take care of, right? Effort is nothing to do with skill. Effort is a choice. I mean, there might be something genetic to it, I don't know, but effort, everybody can control effort. Everybody can control showing up on time, working hard in drills, good attitude on the bench. That's the other thing too. Like if you're on the bench, make sure that you're cheering on your teammates. It's hard to like if you feel like you're getting ripped off, it's hard to do that sometimes, but you have to be careful that you don't turn it on your teammates. Right? If you have a bad coach, or if the coach is making bad decisions, you shouldn't take it out on the teammate. But that's what happens. Yeah. When like if we go down to the number 3, the one where the kid's getting ripped off, that's a nightmare, because that means the coach is creating a crazy culture, and the players, the guys or the girls on that team will start to, I'm better than him. Why is he playing ahead of me? Or I'm better than her. What the hell? And then they start getting tension between them, and then you get cliquiness and
you're not going to be in the zone.
Yeah.
You get like. Yes, you're not playing or whatever, so you're already thinking these negative thoughts, like directed at the teammate or even directed at the coach. Oh, coach never plays me, whatever. And then all of a sudden, the coach puts you in, right? And then you're on the court, but then you keep thinking, oh, what the heck? Like, coach never puts me in. What? Like your brain is thinking,
you're
not
negative
volleyball
mode.
stuff,
Yeah.
and you're negative
mode, yeah,
right. And negative, just like it's super contagious, and it just falls on everyone else. And then the rally starts. And then you're just in this weird state, and then you're gonna make more mistakes. And
they won't support you. They won't.
Yeah.
Like once somebody senses your
yeah.
toxicity or your meanness, then your teammates aren't going to support you. It's just a bad side. I think coaches really have to do a very good job. If any coaches are listening, like, you got to make sure that you're getting everybody in. Unless I think the effort thing is it. Like, to me, I have no problems, telling a kid, listen, you missed 3 practices, in the last 2 weeks. So, you're not going to play the first match. Okay. And, I don't care. And it's very important that you sacrifice the win. If that's your best player, you have to do it. Yeah. Because it's a life lesson, right?
It's good to say to them before the match, because like, that's like a blow to take, and now they're aware of it. Right. And then they have to deal with that what they've just been told, right? That information, they can get mad. You can see kind of how they react.
Yeah, I wonder how many parents and players, like if it does happen, like I've seen players who this is happening to, where they're getting benched for attendance issues, and some of them are looking at their parent like, what the hell? But I wonder how many of them would understand it versus how many, because it's hard to tell, because there's so many.
They've been late, or they don't show up.
Well,
and they're like, what the hell, coach is benching me?
Like I've seen kids who have missed practices, and they're looking over at their parent like negatively while they're on the bench. And I've seen parents look at their kids that way. And I'm like, now, do they know that they've missed a lot of practices? Yeah. But do you think that, but it's hard to tell, because so many kids are looking. I know in that scenario, I knew that scenario that was happening. Okay. But there are other times. Are there times where the coach is totally rational? I don't know, because I've when I was coaching, and even, I don't find that players find me irrational. You know what I mean? Right. Because you explain to them why you're doing things. The only one time I ever had someone upset with me was when I didn't take a timeout when they were losing to a really bad team. I think I told you guys about that. Yeah. But my goal there was to say, listen, I've already coached you. You're losing to a team that this is all mental, and I want you to suffer a little bit. And they lost that set, won the third, And I pointed out to them that they can pull it together. Don't look for someone to come save you. I was trying to,
Yeah.
It was part of a lesson, right? I sacrificed the win for a lesson. And I wonder if a coach is like that. Like even when I remember teaching young teams new systems, like 6 back and teed up. And so that's when you send your defenders on the backcourt up on the sides and the backcourt middle players deep in 6. And, we kept getting the ball tipped over in the middle. And I was sitting there just telling the players, you got to read the hitter. That's okay. We're going to get it. And people were like, well, we're losing games, And I was like, they're 13. Like, we're going to get it. They just have to learn the system. There's growing pains. And by the ball dropping in the middle, one day, someone's going to click the switch and say, oh, here comes that tip I've seen before, right? So when you do that, you don't get much blowback from that because it's logical. So I don't know. It's hard to say how much of the crazy parent thing is real because there's so many bad coaches now.
Yeah. I mean, you have to look at, like you said, like that was a great point that you'd made earlier. Look at the things that your kid and you can control. Do you have the hustle? Do you have the confidence of your teammates? Like say if a player's teammates, they're not sure if they're going to go for the ball. Nothing's worse than a player not defending their area. So that spreads the lack of confidence. So maybe that is happening, and that might be something that you can't see.
Yep.
Because it only is within the team.
Yeah, that goes back to something else we talked about where coaches yell out the wrong thing to players. Like they don't know where the mistake happened. And parents, like again, 90% of them definitely don't know what happened. Like their kid could be like making subtle movements and twitches for balls because they don't know what they're doing. And the player next to them shanks it. A good coach would know that was, maybe the other player. So that's a good point. The subtleties of, I still think, I think though, based on what I've seen in the past 10 years of club, that the coaches don't know it either. Like the coaches will they'll punish the kid that shanks or they'll punish the setter. They'll punish the setter for like not calling help when they were right there and someone else was setting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they'll punish the wrong player there, but it's a tricky thing because it goes back to knowledge. But I think your original point was that like the effort, right? Effort goes for a lot. So if you are not playing, so I think we can all agree.
You have control of that.
I think we can all agree. If you're not playing, or if your kid's not playing, tell your kid, and if they want to play more, if it matters to them, work really hard.
Period.
Yeah, period. Like if it's running in practice and away from practice. I talked about this in that in the last episode was the players pep talk, right? We're doing those shorter talks, and I did one, and it was about confidence. And one of the things that extra prep, if a player does extras away from volleyball, you'll find that it adds to your playing time, increases your, improves your mindset, and it's an effort thing. Everything else seems easier too. Right?
That's right.
So,
like you had mentioned. Oh no, I lost my train of thought. No, the hustle, even in practice, like of course you're going to hustle in games because you're hyped, you're in the momentum of the game.
Of course, though. Some players don't.
Right. and that's I guess essentially the problem is the hustle has to be done in both the game and the practice for it to be realized that, hey, no matter what, this player is going to go for the ball. And unless that's there, then you have to take a look and say, hey, maybe that's a factor of why they're not playing.
Yep. So basically, Meach, you're saying if you're not playing, do the hustle.
Erik.
Erik's still young and self-conscious.
We'll work on him.
Yeah. So do the hustle. Or maybe he's just not an idiot like us. That's possible too. Okay, so
how about this?
Oh, sorry.
Strength and ability.
Strength ability?
Strength and ability. Strength ability.
I just made a new word. A bit of a wordsmith. Hey, Meach's last name. Oh, never mind. We just privacy.
Coaches might use that as a bit of like the tall thing and give them more playing time just because they're stronger and bigger, right? Even though they're not giving as much effort, And then yeah, like I broke it down in a good coach, shitty coach, right?
Mhm.
And then,
We don't swear on the show, Eric.
oh, sorry. Yeah, but so like a bad coach is probably gonna, yeah, make that, tall player, strong player, let's put them on, even though they may not have a good leadership attitude on the court. They might be a bit of a bully or even be unsportsmanlike to like the other team or whatever. And like
So why did you take his word of strength and start applying it to tall people, you heightist?
I said, they might relate it to as a similar like crutch or whatever, to like as a cop out, to be like, oh, we're just gonna use the tall player or the strong players.
Why did you put tall in with strong?
I'm trying to say, like, I kind of see them as like almost the same thing.
Oh, you're a heightist. You're a heightist. Meach?
No, but I'm saying it's a mistake.
Oh, it's a mistake.
It's a mistake. Oh.
But they might do it, right?
Yeah, like it's like, I don't know.
I'm just wondering why your mind took the word strength and immediately thought tall.
Okay, because
I don't know.
I didn't. I kept them as two separate things.
Yeah, I guess. No, I'm sorry. But so what
I don't
were you? I
understand.
think we have to.
What
I think we
point
have to
are we?
refine. I know. I was just joking. But I think we have to refine what Meach meant, because he just said strength ability, strength and ability.
And then you said strength.
And so what you
Same
mean
way.
by that is, what if the kid? So can a kid control those things?
It's not really something that they can control, because either they have the strength and the ability to smash that ball.
Mm-hmm.
If they can't, that could be a factor of, one player taking the role of another one. It's just because they can do it.
Okay, I see. So you're saying that some players physically aren't able to compete at a level to get enough playing time. They should still get some playing time.
Right.
And then the strength. So there is just that sheer movement, balance,
Yeah.
strength.
It could just be
and
coordination, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time it's just coordination with volleyball. Like, you don't have to be super strong, but if biomechanics or whatever, that is what will generate power.
Yeah.
Skill. So you mean that even a short person can have power and strength, Eric?
Yeah, they do.
Oh. This is the part where Eric says, some of my best strong friends are short. I love short people. Short people love me. Just kidding.
And on the same token,
Eric's
some
trying to
things
think if
are
he has any short friends that he likes. He's like, I don't think I like short.
Well, I'm just trying to think of like really strong kids, like, because most kids are all pretty scrawny, but you'll see, I don't know around what age, but some kids definitely like start to grow a lot sooner than others, and like, or like they have like the super late birthday or whatever, right? And they're the same age, but they have like 10 months on all the other kids, right? So they're like literally stronger.
Developed.
Yeah, or developed, or so. But like they could be a complete deer in the headlights when they're on the court. But 1 out of 10 balls they hit way harder than everyone else, or 1 out of 10 serves is really hard and like it's impossible to pass.
Right.
So it's like, oh, we have to put Brett on because he's just super strong, but like,
Right. Yeah. Well, I think that's why he said ability with it. Like he's not he's not talking about putting an ox on the court.
oh, okay. Well then,
he's strong, he's fierce, he's an ox, but
You mean like really
him in.
strong? No, he's a literal ox. What? Get him a jersey.
okay. So see, I wasn't listening to the ability word, which
Yeah.
is why I bunched it up with tall.
Yes. No, because tall could be ability. Tall.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying if they're just tall, but like not very skilled, or like
See, you shouldn't have brought it up again. All the listeners forgot that you were heightist, and now they're.
I'm not a heightist.
Well,
though.
see, that's what every
Oh wow.
heightist says.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody. We apologize. So there's the delusional kid.
Did you just raise your seat up?
No, I sat up. Oh, why? Are you respecting me more?
No, I'm just trying to make a joke.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So we had the delusional kid. So take care of all the things that you can control. So that's step one, parent. That's how you know you're not a delusional parent and your child's not delusional, that you are taking care of all the effort. And then that's sort of when you cross into my second category of there's the realistic kid who maybe who does all the right things effort-wise and, hard work, extras, everything, still not getting playing time, but maybe they are aware of why they're not getting playing time. In other words, they don't think they're as good as the people ahead of them. And they are correct. There is that parent. There are those kids who are like, yeah, my kid's not really at that level. I would still submit that they should be getting some playing time during the blowouts. You know, maybe in the second set, it's not as critical. First set, you want to win. Second set, you're okay with fighting through. Third set, you put on your top 6 if, you know. But it's also good to get the young kids in there, too, sometimes. So, again, it depends on how much you value winning, but obviously you want the kid to get in there. So that realistic kid, I think, what's the advice for that kid that's not delusional, not getting playing time?
Keep growing.
Keep growing?
Yeah, just keep growing.
You mean as a person, not physically?
Well, if they're they're doing the things that they can control, then all they can do is get better on the court.
Okay, so you mean growing as a player, not physically, like that's not advice.
Yes, that's right.
Because you're not giving them advice to keep growing physically. Because we were just talking about height.
It's not a bad idea.
That's true. Grow,
stretch,
grow harder. Can you grow fast?
Chin-ups, whatever it takes.
I mean, there's not much more to say though. Like, just keep enjoying the sport, right? Like, and if you're not, and if you're doing all those things, maybe you need to reconsider a different club. Like,
right.
But like, you know, if you're only going to that club because like your friends are there, well, then we need to look at that. Like, are you there just for the friends and the social aspect and the team? And you're not, again, back to what we said earlier, you're not too worried about playing time or whatever, or
that's what this kid is.
It could be driving location, it could be cost of the club, you know. So as long as, like, maybe it sounds cliche or corny or whatever, but like if the kid's having fun, like that's pretty awesome. And if they are, growing, like
as a person,
as a person and a player, then I don't think. There's no reason to change. There's no real.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of interesting because this parent might not, I think if this is a realistic scenario where the kid's not playing much, but they think it's okay, then they probably don't need help. Like for this episode, maybe they're not listening to this episode.
Exactly.
I mean, I'd hate to think that people aren't listening. Do you think there's people who don't listen to the show? No way. Sorry,
there's one person that doesn't
gesture
listen.
like he wanted to stop and listen to see if people were listening.
Not a bad idea.
Strength ability. Okay, so that person. No, I would say too. There's value that the benefit for that person and that player and parents. Again, you in the scenario, you're realistic. You understand it. The beauty of it is that they're still playing the sport. I always say too, you're practicing with better players, so keep that in mind. You can get a lot from practicing with better players. And eventually, if you have that attitude, like if this is the spot that you're in, like as a parent, like you're realistic with your playing time, your kid's working hard, but they're realistic with their playing time, that's pretty optimal, right?
Yeah.
Because that's like good attitude. It means you're a realist. And it means that you still enjoy the sport. You're doing it for the right reasons. Parent is not passing on any insecurities onto the kid. And the kid is just going to develop. That's the... they're going to get better just by being around the rest of the team. Yeah. That's a cool place to be, I think. Because there is something wrong with... You don't want to be the best player on every team you're playing on. Because then you're not getting pushed. It's kind of like being the smartest guy in every room you go into, right? You want to make sure you have something to strive for and something to keep you pushing.
Yeah, they're always in that state of potential where they can just have a breakthrough or not, right? In terms of, I don't know, maybe they do become an amazing player because you never know when that can happen.
Yeah. But that's the formula, right? Like that hard work, realism.
Yeah.
And not wanting to quit, not having the I should be playing, right? That's a problem. If you are legitimately not as skilled, legitimately not, there are people that believe that they should be ahead of the player who's much better. And I'm also saying that player is better at other, showing up and all the effort. Like imagine that, right? You do see that the high level player, a good player who's starting or whatever, works hard, great attitude. And there are players on the team that hate that person.
Yeah.
Right? In the wrong mix because they resent them and they're not doing all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you are the player that's not getting the time, understand that. That's and accept it and do all the hard work. That's a great place because you're only going to get better. Like it's impossible to get worse in that scenario, right?
In most cases, what coach wouldn't want to play somebody that is, developing or showing all the right stuff. So,
but that's where we cross into. That's where we cross into this. That there are coaches that don't notice that stuff.
It all goes to shit with a shit coach.
Yeah, that's why it's just
Like-
like that's we just have to put that like in a whole like you did in a whole
Yeah.
different category of problem because it's not fixable.
Yeah.
Reason doesn't work, and I talk about that
What do you do? Do
in
you
the last
like,
one.
yeah, switch clubs, whatever, and like I don't know. But also
Yeah.
like when it comes to sports, like playing other sports, like or if it's if volleyball it has a season to it, and then in the off season you're doing something else, like experience other sports, experience other activities, or even individual based sport would be different. But
So like we're crossing into the kid getting
well,
ripped off now.
yeah, or
Because
even
I think we're done with the good realistic kid.
I do want to save
Oh.
a few, address a few topics first before we go into our
third category?
uncensored,
The ripped off-
dangerous
Oh, the
ones.
ripped off kid?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Sorry, Meach, we're out of time. So
oh
no, just kidding. Yeah, there's no time limit, Meach.
No,
We'll leave time for you. Don't worry.
right,
Don't
thank
worry.
you.
I trust your strength ability.
Yeah. I just think that's our conclusion.
I think you meant
That-
strength
that's-
we've
slash
exhausted
ability.
Right, that's the
all.
one where all
He
the
said
parents are waiting
strength
for. They want
slash
to hear our
ability.
advice for the yes. What?
Yeah.
He said strength slash ability. That's
Yeah, that's the joke.
yeah.
I'm inventing a new word for the listeners. Every episode, I'll invent a new word, but I'll sprinkle it in somewhere in the 4-6 hour episodes.
Right.
So you have to listen to the whole thing.
That's right.
Anyway,
Exciting.
Sorry, Eric. So we didn't cross into it. You said about the.
Huh?
You were talking about the player getting ripped off. What did you
was?
say? I don't know.
I
Meach,
don't know.
Meach interrupted. What did you want to
I
say?
did.
Yeah.
Some of the more.
Oh, we're talking about
tangible
the
stuff.
realistic kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
You touched on it a little bit briefly, as we all did. The volleyball IQ. Are they understanding plays? Basically, nobody wants to be with a player that doesn't know what the heck is going on.
Yes.
We've all seen that happen, and it's going to happen. But the players that are getting it and that can perform the tasks needed by the coach are going to get more time because they spent time on it.
Do you think the only thing about that I sometimes look at when I see a kid confused on the court is I think by the coach not putting them in a real game, they might never get it.
Right.
Like in practice, you can walk a kid everywhere and teach them where to go, and they're like, "Yeah, I got it." And then you get out into the bright lights of a game,
see
where
that
the
all the time.
uniforms and the refs whistle,
Yeah.
and then they're like confused.
Yeah.
So I sometimes think that you gotta bite. I mean, I'm not saying I know you're saying not to bench this kid, but that might be the reason why they're not getting the playing time.
Yeah, there's simple
But sometimes you gotta
rotational
throw them in
rotation.
there. So you gotta throw
Well,
them
there's
in there.
simple rotation drills where you can kind of hammer that out and like get it pretty good. And like,
Yeah.
I'm sure mistakes will still be made, but like you just do side out the ball. Like and you have 3 block. If you only have a team of 9, you have the 6, whatever, and you have 3 blockers, serve a ball, play that rotation out.
But there are some kids, man, that the minute
Yeah, but I mean,
the
you
minute
do
it gets
that-
real,
Do the rotate. You do like 5 rotations or something. Yeah, like I get it. Like they'll still make mistakes, but like.
Yeah. Not mistakes. They'll be actual, like you will literally teach them it like, 80
Okay,
times.
well, why are they not remembering it? Why are they not remembering
Because
it?
they're not getting practice. That's what I'm getting at. They're not getting the practice of doing it in a game. So they'll get it in practice. But the minute you show up at a tournament where the uniforms are there, the refs, the whistles.
Right, but why can't they be with that intensity in practice? There's no reason why not to.
Well, I mean, this is the beauty of
That's like 2 different.
No, I think
it's like 2 different attitudes.
Yeah, it is.
Now-
But don't you think that? So, you don't see the difference between like this is number one reason why people do really well in practice and then they suck at games. That happens all the time, right? There's people who just do that because they overemphasize the moment. So what I'm saying, the only solution around that, if that's happening, is to get them into the game actually more. You know what I mean? And take the short-term pain of like suffering through them and let them get that pain. And then they will,
Right.
you know,
Kinda
familiarity
wakes them up a bit.
and wakes them up and just lets them get used to, okay, now it doesn't feel different because now I'm used to it. Right?
Mm.
That's why we talked about the confidence episode, because that's what this is. confidence is flustering you. Lack of confidence is flustering you in the moment, so you can't remember what the coach told you 80 times in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because all you're worried about is like, and I'm not messing up and worried. So you have to devalue those moments. You have to not teach yourself, but the only way to decrease the significance of that moment that causes stress is to do it more. And that's what I meant by the original question was like, so the coach isn't playing the kid who struggles to understand in game situations what to do because the pressure of games. So that solution for the coach of the 14-year-old kid is to bench them more.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think you need to get them into
Totally.
blowout wins at least, and even meaningless sets. Like you got to be willing to lose your second set for the kid's development, right?
Bear in mind that the other players that do get it and do get the scenario need time to develop the type that doesn't get the plays, what's running and happening. Maybe they need to see it from the bench. They might need to get kind of accustomed to say, oh, that's how it looks. That's how it's done. And then they'll be able to...
It definitely helps and looks different. Yeah.
And it's nice if a coach can actually sit down with the kid and explain to them. Because a kid, sometimes, they're watching and they don't really know what's happening. You know what I mean? Like, where is he or where is she? That could be handy if a coach could do that for sure. Yeah. That's a great way to teach it, yeah.
Hopefully, sometimes like side by side, it's going through the play. You see why this runs so well. You see how this translate into a game scenario, and then maybe when they go in for the game, like they have to get play time, but they'll be able to understand the flow of how it works within a game scenario.
But the question is, how come I'm still not playing and there's an ox playing left side?
Hey,
like
that's bull.
Holy cow.
That's bull, yeah.
Anyway, that was good. Erik, you have a pun? We both said a pun and you didn't say
I'm terrible at puns. Yeah.
Okay. We'll work on that.
Eric's kind of ruining the show. First, he didn't do the hustle.
I'm missing the gene
Yeah.
for puns.
The gene pun.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Meach, was there more about realistic parent that you wanted to talk about? Or realistic kids? I mean, there's not much of a problem there, but I think we can fairly say, unless the coach is being unrealistic and the parents are being too tolerant and the kids being too tolerant, which doesn't happen too much. I think most people sense... Were you going to say something?
Like say, just one more minor scenario, your serving strength.
Okay.
Is this the type of player that's going to miss, every single time that they go out? Maybe they're not having the same strength of serve to put the other team in danger. It's just a minor area, but that could be a factor as well.
Yeah.
If you can't serve, then you can't take control of that scenario where you're in charge.
Yeah. No. So you're saying that's why a kid might not be playing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might they might lose on playing time because their serving is weak, and they need to strengthen it in practice where you're just one-on-one, same type of scenarios to improve it.
And then sometimes, again, same point, you get those players who can do it in practice and they can't do it in games.
Yeah.
And again, I don't like when it's kind of like the coach needs to push that kid more into the game scenario there. That's sometimes the opposite.
Yeah.
They bench the kid because they can't serve, or they sub them out like before it's their turn to serve. Oh, I hate seeing that.
Yeah.
When a coach subs out a little kid right before they serve all the time. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, can you not just let the kid go back there and serve? And you might say that you're saving them from embarrassment. Like once in a while you can do it if you want to, but like I've seen it at like critical moments of games where the kid is just like taken out and it's embarrassing, humiliating, and then they'll just do worse. You want people talk about softness and wimpiness, but it's very centered out, right? If you get taken out right before it's your turn to serve, unless there's a superstar server that would take out any player on the team, like Erik Sato,
right?
But that's kind of tricky. I don't like it when coaches do that because like the whole reason the kid is missing it is because they're nervous in a game.
And bear in mind too that
I think you're saying bear in mind too much.
What should I say?
Remember. Just kidding.
Please note.
Meach is from the past. In mind, believe you me. Believe you me.
I was gonna save that for
I know
another
you were. I know
episode.
you
How do you spell bear though?
Oh,
What kind of bear?
We'll
is
edit
it?
it out. We'll edit it.
All right.
Sorry, what was I supposed to bear in mind?
That might be an opportunity for
I can't
someone
believe you
on the
remembered. I
bench.
can't believe you remembered
What?
the point. I forgot what we were
He's
talking
trying to
about.
throw you off, Meach. Keep going. Keep going. He's trying to throw you off.
Don't listen.
The coach might be bringing another player from the bench to give them that opportunity, and somebody has to sacrifice sometimes because
I think you're
they
being
might
too
be
nice.
able to push
I'm
it.
talking about the coach that takes out the kid because the coach thinks they're gonna miss the serve, and they think the other kid's a better server, and they want to win a gold medal for 14U or 14-year-olds. That's what I'm talking about.
I think I might do it.
Yeah.
If I
Ooh.
get the Shaquille O'Neal of serving coming up.
Hey, that's mean.
Yeah, it is. But he can take it. He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll-
And he worked hard on this.
Is this the biggest
And he can't find me.
mistake of these bad coaches?
But subbing out bad players?
Well, and not subbing in players who like the experience would be so valuable for them. Like this is almost starting to sound like, to me anyways, like like maybe the biggest mistake, because if they're already a bad coach, they're probably not good at like teaching technical stuff anyways, right? So all right, so that's already ruled out. And so they're not good at like they don't have good like leadership skills, and they're probably doing favoritism, blah blah blah. But so whatever, forget about that. But then the thing that the coach can control is the actual game. They can influence it heavily and be a crazy person on the side of the court and yell and scream and like, by the way, like that, there's no real need for that either, but
Yes.
we've talked about that already.
Mhm.
But but then they have to impose their control by like not letting a kid play, especially at the ages, from 8 to 12. Just put them on the court, because it's intense and there's pressure, and like your mind shifts from when you're on the bench to then on the court. It's like, oh my God, like I'm on the court and it's like intense, and it's totally, and that's the icebreaker you're talking about, these icebreaker moments for them. Like maybe they're that deer in the headlights in practice because they haven't had this icebreaker moment. I don't know what else to call it.
Game scenarios.
Yeah, games. Yeah, and then they can take that into practice, because how can they have a game? How can they have a game mindset intensity in practice if they haven't felt what it is like in a game, right? So this is almost like the biggest mistake.
That's what I always say. That's what it always comes back to this for me.
Just put the players in, man. Even if you suck at a coach, but then how do we get through to these? Again, we're not here to knock on coaches, but like
No,
if you're a
but
crazy
we are.
coach, they're not listening to this. But how are they gonna like?
Yeah. I think we have gotten messages from coaches who are listening, and they've said to us, and we're not tooting our horn, but
We're not what?
We're not doing that at all.
We're not. Believe you me. No, we're not tooting our own. That's from 1936. I was born in 1936. Someone listening born in 36 is like, hey. No, but I always, so in life we say this all the time, the cliche, the obstacle is the way. You have to lean into what you're not good at and do it more. And it's sort of a universal law. Like if I am not good at handwriting, again, 1936. Sorry, if I'm not very good at texting, welcome to the future. You guys didn't think I knew about texting, but if I'm not good at texting, if I text more, I'll get better at it. So teenagers, listen. If you want to get good at text, no, I'm just kidding. Teenagers are on the phone too much.
Plug a keyboard into your phone.
Kids, if you're not good at TikToking, then just use TikTok more. No, but whatever you want to improve at. So a coach, I always laugh when a coach tells me that, they don't do that well, so I don't put them in to do it in a game. And I'm like, so are they working on it in practice?
Yeah.
Yes. Are they getting it over sometimes in practice, or are they doing it in practice? Sometimes yes, but they can't do it in a game. Well, then the number one answer is to get them in the damn game more. But you have to get over your own insecurities, and you have to get over your own desire to win. You know what I mean? Like, remember I said this before, like if you're a coach who's like, I played, when I was a player, it was about me. And now they're a coach and it's still about them. When is it supposed to be for these young players? Your whole life, you're living volleyball for you as a player. Yeah. Coach, Yeah. What about those?
Yeah.
It's their time, right? The children are the future, is what I'm saying.
The day of my death. That's when it's their turn.
Yeah, that's true. You'll grab this volleyball from my cold, dead hands. See, there's another old reference. Eric, do you know what that reference is from?
Nope.
Oh, Meach?
I'm terrible at movie references, so even like recent ones I probably won't get.
Meach?
Frankenstein.
Wrong.
Tombstone.
No.
Good, the bad, and the ugly.
It's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. No, it's
Superman.
Oh,
you don't know what it's from?
I don't know what's wrong.
Meach?
No, I'm the movie guru.
From my cold, dead hands.
Maybe if you said it better.
No,
we
that's
would
that's.
get it.
I said it very well. People at home shouting at their radios, shouting at their Spotifys.
Give us a
Context.
an actor.
Oh, that's too easy though.
No.
Listeners, type it in the YouTube comments.
Below.
Hey guys, if you know who that is, type it up in the YouTube in the comments
Cold
section.
dead hands.
Actually, we're gonna leave that. We're gonna leave that. From my cold dead
Should we leave it?
hands.
Leave
We're gonna
it,
leave it. We're gonna leave it.
okay.
Let them write it in. We have no engagement on our YouTube channel anyway. Okay,
Crystal?
so
We're talking about you.
Crystal, type the
Sleepless
answer.
in Seattle?
We have one. No, Sleepless in Seattle. That would be a good one. I'll give you a hint. It's an adult film. No, I'm just kidding. It's awful. Cold. That's not good. That's not good. That's not good. Edit. Edit. Okay. So we got, I think the reasonable one, we don't need to spend this much time on. Meach made us spend too much time on the reasonable people. But now we need to get to the crux.
Oh my gosh. Are we here?
We are here. We are in the ripped off kid. So this is the kid that is as good or better than the kids playing in front of them. What advice can we give? Because we don't want to jump straight to the negative.
Well, we have
Or
been
we can.
talking about this situation in a bit.
Meach is
Let's jump to it.
Jump to it, Meach. Go for
The
it.
reason
not-
it might be.
We're not jumping here. What do you mean? The top? Like we eased our way to this topic, I think.
Yeah, I think we've done enough building to it. The
Okay.
parents want to know.
So this is the
Oh.
what would you call it? The highest point of
yeah.
the
Don't say it.
uh,
Don't say it.
the slow build. Okay.
Let's just let it
Stop it. There might be kids listening.
Okay.
Stop it. We don't want them to know that exists. Okay.
Right.
We're just talking about a show. We're just talking about topics. Anyway,
Any old
let's
topic.
get to
Could be
the best.
Could you-
Okay, stop it now.
All right.
All right, here we go. Crossing over to the other podcast.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Ripped off kid. Okay, so I'm going to start this off. First of all, the number one thing is that you can understand. Remember, there are a lot of things you can control. There are a lot of things you can't control. You can't control this is Eric's shitty coach thing. That's what's happening, right? This is a bad coach. So the number one thing to tell a player going through this is to remain positive and don't stop doing the hard work and don't stop trying hard in practice, because then you're letting someone else dictate your effort level, your performance level, and dictate who you are as a person. So I always tell, like, it's happened to, I think just about every club parent has probably had it happen to them and their kid. And I said, like, you don't want to let someone who's unreasonable, irrational, throw you off being rational, hardworking effort. Because a lot of kids will get frustrated and they'll give attitude, or they'll stop working, or they'll have the what's the point attitude, they won't cheer on their teammates.
Yeah, they will.
So
But
that's the one.
there's some kids, maybe it's an age point. They're young enough that they're a good kid, and they go to a tournament and they don't play, and they just like innocently ask on the way home, "Oh, hey, mom, dad," are like, why don't I see the court too much? But they're clearly not upset about it. They're not like angry or anything. It's another day at volleyball. They're with their friends, and like, but then on the way home they just ask, like, so clearly they're not like super upset about it. Like, "Hey, dad, like, why don't I play today? Why don't I play as much as blah blah or so and so, right?" And then it's like, well, how do you? It's like a good shitty situation, because it shouldn't be happening, but it's a bad situation in that you can already start a learning process here of unfortunate realities of like life.
Yeah, that's what I was getting
right. Oh, sorry. Okay,
No,
well,
no.
But like,
No, I didn't mean I was gonna get to it like now, but no, but that's what I was meaning is that this is a very teachable moment for your kid.
yeah,
It's good to go through shitty things. It's good to deal with irrational people. But I was also just saying like that's the first step is to make sure your kid doesn't change who they are over this person. And then yes, you're right. I think that if you are like I want my kids to go through bad things as young as possible. I want them to not win things. I want them to lose. I want them to, because that way I will always remain superior.
And on top, and have no reason to.
Yes. No, I want them to lose and experience, and even like when tough things happen to them. So, I did tell my child who was going through a similar thing. I was like, listen, life has these people, and life has these situations, and it's not fair. But what I turned it to is my second point. Should I just keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
So what I do say on, in connection with that message is keep working hard, keep the attitude. And then, so you've done everything. You've been doing everything. You've been performing even. Like, let's suppose you feel that you've been performing better than the player ahead of you. Don't take it on the other player. That's toxic. When you do get the chance to play, this is what happened. This happened, and this really worked, people. This applies if your child has skill, and remember, is as good or better than the player in front of them. I noticed when my daughter was getting in, she was afraid of messing up. So this is a huge point, okay? Your kid who's not playing is worried more about messing up when they go in a game. So the message to send that player, or players if you're listening, is when you're in there, and if you have the skill, swing and play with absolutely no fear. Because your irrational coach is not giving you more time anyway. That's the scenario we're in, and every parent can relate to this. So make sure that you swing as hard as you can, serve as hard as you can, and play with absolutely no fear and no tension and no worry of messing up. Because we're doing the opposite. The kids that are going in and playing with fear are messing up more. And then in the coaches, the irrational coach is in their head thinking, oh, that's why I don't play them. So you have to be, remember we talked about this like with the purple cow. We talked about this, like you don't want to be like everybody else in that scenario. This is an opportunity for you. And I said this to my daughter, I said, this is a gift for you. This is a gift to have a coach like this at your age. Because now I want you to go out there and just play loose. Because like, again, they're not going to, you can play a perfect game, that mistake-free game, and never get playing time. So just go out there and do what you did on the beach, do what you did, when there was no coach around. And she started wailing it. And she started spin serving aces. And she started just hammering. People were like, wow. She still didn't get the playing time ahead of a player who was honestly like much, much less talented than her. And I'm just saying that as a coach. I don't know what was going on. I don't know what the reasoning was. I just said to her that it's okay because this is how life is. And she grew a lot in that. And confidence came out. Even through less playing time, confidence came out. So that's kind of cool. So I will tell it to parents. Less playing time, and the less, even if it's irrational, can be a gift for your kid. Because it could show them. And now I think my daughter sort of stuck with that. And by the way, you guys sort of saw that Meach. You saw that on the beach this summer, right? You saw her playing. We played beach, remember?
Oh, yes.
And she was hitting hard, right? That came from those discussions. She started hitting really hard this summer on the sand. Because of that, hey, I hit better when I'm not caring about messing up.
I didn't see her physically grow on the beach, though.
Did I say grow?
Yeah.
I don't think I did.
Yeah.
Check the record.
Yeah, you said grow.
She grew as a. Oh, I see. Oh, so you're still stuck on the literal.
Yes.
But I really did. You notice the change though in her strength ability?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Through the roof.
Ability.
She's an ox.
Yeah, like I 100% agree with all that.
Okay, next.
The only thing I want to add though, is just that you guys, you and your daughter did a lot of work off the court, like just those conversations, having those, and then maybe who knows, but your daughter probably had to do some off court, like at home, like mental visualization of like
she didn't.
Okay, or just not visualization, just like running this through her head, like just imagining, like, hey, I'm going to go to this tournament. I might not play over this person. Not visualization, just like an inner dialogue or something like, oh, I might not play, but I'm not going to lose my cool. I'm going to like take this as an opportunity to learn and all this stuff. But
it was actually just a mid-tournament. Honestly, I'm not saying that I'm like Superman, but it was just a mid-tournament thing. I said, listen.
But you guys have been having these conversations for
yeah,
years.
that's true. Yeah, and we
So
have
I'm
a
just
mindset.
saying, like,
yes.
Yeah, you guys have done a lot. It's not a lot of work. It's just a lot of family stuff.
Yeah.
Like you guys have been talking about this for.
Yeah, and I raised.
You've
my
had a
kids
lot of
and
shitty coaches.
and I raised my kids. That like I have a.
Well, you're like
I'm
you're a
counselor.
volleyball
I'm
family.
like a counselor. No, but it's not the volleyball. It's the.
And you're a part counselor, but you're
Yeah.
also like in a way a volleyball family, and you have that counseling background. So you've already when I was talking earlier about the 8-year-old kid,
But
like
that's why we're here too, right? To tell people that message, because
Yeah.
some parents, when you tell them that, they do. Their eyes light up a bit. Like I never thought of it that way. Like wow, okay, yeah. Why are we trying to impress the crazy coach?
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Let's just, why do I try to, like, if the coach is irrational, then they're not going to expect or make a rational decision, right? So even if your kid plays really well, this irrational coach is not going to improve their level of rationality. Like, even in my case, honestly, my daughter was playing much better, not like hitting hard, like hardest serve on the team, hardest hit on the, like really the hardest left side hitter on the team. And then would still not start. And this goes back to the insecure coach who doesn't want to look wrong, by the way. They can't be wrong. Insecure, right? Won't change when they see new evidence. Or, I mean, we can see this societal problem. People don't adjust when they see new evidence, right?
Right. And speaking of which, when you have, like you were talking about not changing who you are as a player. Like say, for example, if you're doing the hustle, you're attending.
Did you say doing the hustle?
Yeah. So when you're attending, you're doing the hustle.
Did you say?
I want to make a point of that.
People,
right?
the one person still listening is turning it off. Crystal.
You're serving. You're doing everything that you got to do. The moment that you don't do one of those things, like say for example, I'm going to show up late, or I'm not going to go for the balls tonight. I'm going to just go half-assed, right?
We don't swear on the show.
Oh, okay. You have several times, and
so you said you're not going to go for the balls tonight, Meach.
yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to.
I will not.
Meach, are you crying? Are you crying?
I am a little bit. This gets me emotional.
Okay,
I'm very passionate about.
Sorry.
volleyball.
Yes. Go ahead.
The moment that you don't do those elements that you've been doing, that's what the coach can take away from you. So, for example,
Yes.
you're late, right? And then you're asking, okay, well, how come I'm not playing? Well, sometimes you're late.
Mm-hmm. Don't give them ammo.
Yeah, don't give them ammo. Great point.
Yeah, that's so.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And like I said, you could be doing all the right things and still not play. And don't get discouraged. I think the point I was trying to make too is like suffering is a gift, right? Bad things are I mean, we don't see it at the time, and sometimes we interfere and cause it not to be a gift because, like you said, we do stupid things or bad decisions. But if you just kind of maintain yourself, control what you do, keep doing what you do, even through the bad, it's weird how these situations can lead to great things.
Yeah.
They
can improve just by maintaining.
Yeah, think of it as mental practice, by the way, right? Sure, you're not getting in the games, you're not getting rep, but there's a mental practice that is far more valuable in life than even playing volleyball, because that's what sports are supposed to teach you.
Yeah.
Like volleyball, you're supposed to get your ass, right?
They come across something they're interested in, and they've already have this history of discipline, showing up, putting in effort, being respectful, listening, learning, right? They've already done that, and then they find something they're interested in, and then they use that. It's a framework.
Yeah, because every time they hit that barrier, they're going to be better off, better equipped to handle the next pile of shit that heads their way. We don't swear on the show.
And there was nothing that stopped me, especially as a kid, from being the best player, getting all the playing time I wanted in my living room.
Naked.
Whoa.
Meach's going for the balls tonight.
I think you are.
What?
Huh?
Huh? What? You thought that was like, I don't know. I don't like this, guys. Come on, volleyballogy.
He just wants you naked.
We were
Yes.
all born naked.
You can mentally play anytime that you want, and you can be the star player right there.
So you're serious?
Yeah.
Like you
Do you
want
dispute
kids?
that?
You want kids to go home and practice in their living room?
Yep. I
Fair.
did it.
Parents are turning off their Spotifys. They're called Spotifys,
mean-
right?
What? You can.
Visualization.
I think maybe honestly, what I say to people going through this is channel it into, like I always said to my daughters too. Does it matter to you? Yes. So what are you doing to change it? Like not at practice, because everybody's going to practice. What are you doing away from practice?
Right.
You know, and that was the line with my kid too, because she wasn't putting in a lot of extra time away. And I said, listen, I'm not saying that you deserve it. I'm not saying that you don't deserve it. I'm just saying that if it bothers you, then what steps are you taking to control what you can control? It's one thing if you worked out every day or every other day and did some yoga and stretching and mental training, and then you go there, do all the same hard work, do everything, and you're not playing. But so let's suppose it is unjust, unfair. Is there something that you could be doing in your spare time here? Can you channel that anger, that resentment into something positive? Or better yet, release the anger and resentment and still just turn it all into something positive? So that's the one thing, like that sort of goes into my advice at the end of the show. Like if it matters to you that much.
Is that what that is?
What?
At the end of the show?
I'm transitioning into the end of the show.
Okay, here it comes.
What do you mean?
We knew it had to come.
Exit music.
Oh, sorry. Well, no, I mean, I'm just going, I think this is sort of ties into all three scenarios, especially the last one. But if you want it, and if it, like I see kids crying on the bench sometimes because they're not playing, or very upset because they're embarrassed, right? Because of the social view, how it looks that they're getting benched. And I always think, are those players doing everything away from the court? You know, they can cry and care about the embarrassment in the moment. But if they go home and they don't train the next day in the gym, and out of not of anger, but out of like determination, I mean, you're not doing everything you can do.
How critical is the parent's role in that situation, and going from the crying kid to, or not going from, or just not being the crying kid? Like, the parent has a significant impact on that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I think embarrassment, like, you know, so like what I say is like I see kids that care too much about the embarrassment in the moment, but they don't really care enough. They don't carry that caring into when they're alone, or you know, it's their time to go do some work. Yeah, do the work.
Right. But that's just it. Is like, you know, it's a lot of expectation to put on kids. It's like, but it seems fairly simple. Hey, I'm not playing. Maybe I can like work hard or whatever. But again, maybe if they're just taking emotionally and too personally, they're not seeing the simple connection between the two, between hard work and a change in attitude to show up and be present at practice. And then they just get caught up in the negativity, and then they go home and then they don't work out or whatever, or
Right.
they don't.
But I even tell them like don't even do it.
I was gonna say they don't
Sorry.
even have to work out or anything, but it's just like it
Something.
starts with the attitude, right?
Yeah. Well, in the confidence pep talk that I gave everybody last episode 13 is really, really good. Really good. Anyway,
Ooh, number 13.
but I did say, I know, it's kind of weird that we, but anyway, it's kind of weird that it was our worst episode. No, but I do say that, like, you know, confidence comes by doing hard things. And sorry, what did you just say a second ago? You just said something that made me think of something that I forgot now because
I was just saying how critical are the parents in it, and then like it's a simple connection between it seems simple. If you're not playing, you would think that just doing some extra hard work.
Yes, that's what it was. The extras. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be working out, but something extra. So if you are doing something extra, confidence goes up. And if confidence goes up, your playing improves. And you have to, like, that's one good thing about, like you were saying,
And
that
how do we build confidence?
Well,
by doing
by doing things more and doing hard
more
things.
difficult,
Yeah, and you're right.
That
It
you
doesn't
have
have to be. It
control
doesn't
of.
have to be the gym.
Right,
It
it
could be
doesn't-
meditation. It could be watching YouTube videos of players. It could be. It is better if it's harder. It is better if it's something harder. But also, I always tell people though, like the key is you aren't going to. It doesn't. What I tell young kids who are struggling with this, don't even worry about changing the coach's mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just you do all you can.
Yeah.
And because in life, you can't control the outcome, right?
Yeah.
Like, remember we were talking about that confidence thing too? We said, like, if your child's answers when, what's their goal in a tryout or a game and they want to win, you're like, no, whoa. You can't control if you win. All you can control is you. So in this scenario with a coach who's irrational, forget about, because that was if I said to my daughter, oh, let's do all these extra things. Let's play with no fear. Let's do all this stuff. And then you'll get more playing time.
Oh, yeah. Wrong.
Right?
Yeah.
No. My answer was, this coach is irrational. They've proven it
But
to us time and time again.
You can.
It is a gift to have an irrational coach. It is a very good thing for you in life, because I guarantee you're going to meet these people your whole life, and they're not even that rare. And so what you do, though, is you take care of your shit if it matters enough to you. We don't swear on the show. And then you just do your best. And, she played better, got mentally tougher. Getting taken out did not upset her at all. Getting put in late did not upset her at all. Not starting determined her more. So you just channeled the feelings.
What's the pushback you may get
from the kid?
From your kid, yeah.
Well, I mean, so the pushback was...
I mean there's going to be a resistance, right? Like, as kids are, like, it's...
Well, but there's not resistance to me, because really what I'm doing in that scenario is I'm not the one who's not playing her. The resistance is towards the coach. So the only thing I tell, if it's rooted in logic, it tends to work. And if you tell them, like, listen, do you think you're going to meet assholes or people that you don't like your whole life? I'm not saying the coach is an asshole, but I'm saying, are you saying that you know that you're going to meet lots of people? You already have met people that aren't rational. Maybe I'm one of them.
So that's just it. It's just like kind of neatly lining it out. Yeah, because the resistance is not against you at all. Like, even though you're the one kind of explaining a plan to how to, like, make this good news. Yeah, make this good news. Yes, I think that's a great. Maybe we should sum that up. Like, that's a great advice for a parent with a kid who's going through this, getting ripped off. Make it good news. Mm-hmm. Make it a great thing for your kid. Teach them that this is a gift, right? And it's so hard for all of us. Like, when crappy things happen in life, none of us really see it, right? We're all like, oh God, and it's torture, and it could be heartbreaking, it could be serious. You think it's the end of the world.
By the end of this episode, we're going to have the kids going, Coach, you're irrational.
Can you imagine?
We never want to. Thanking them for being irrational.
Thank you.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. Like, I hope if kids not saying it to the coach, but I hope they're saying it to themselves, that, okay, this is one of those things that those volleyballogy guys that I always listen to. Mm-hmm.
Every chance I get.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Said that, hey, this is one of those things that is going to happen. There's no way of it not happening. You're going to have irrational people. You're going to have irrational bosses. You're going to have irrational spouses. Hey.
Meach.
I said it. I said it.
Hey, Meach.
I said it. I said it.
That's a little too
That doesn't
telling.
mean people can't change.
Honey.
You're
Meach
never
sending cryptic messages to his spouse, who also doesn't listen to the show. If Meach is married, Meach might not be married. Maybe he's a swinging single guy.
Wouldn't it be funny if there was a spin-off Honey,
guy.
I Shrunk Your Balls?
Whoa. Eric, too far. Too far. Come on. Anyway, play with no fear. If coach isn't reasonable, can't use reason. Play irrational. Oh yeah, I worded it that way. If the coach is irrational, then you play irrational.
That's right.
Turn and hit the ball.
Hit balls at the back of the court.
Oh yeah, you want me to serve that way? I'm gonna serve that way. What?
Just to show you.
No, I mean,
spite.
Don't play so safe. Because that gets you nowhere too, right? When the kid, I think every parent listening knows this, and I think you can all relate to this. You've been messing up, so then you start to go in and start to make safe plays, and then you're just vanilla. You're just not standing out. You're not exotic fruit.
Right.
I prefer to be exotic fruit.
And you can't play volleyball. Like, volleyball is a full commitment sport.
So you're just gonna run. You're just not even gonna acknowledge this. I said I prefer to be an exotic fruit.
It's all right.
I just thought you were going to acknowledge it.
Oh.
Anyway, sorry, but go ahead. Volleyball's not a vanilla sport.
Vanilla?
Is that what you said?
No.
Oh.
Sorry, I guess I cut you out.
I like vanilla.
We should go back to your joke.
No, you didn't. You didn't cut me off. I cut you off. No, come on.
What kind of exotic fruit? Papaya?
Eric, smarten up.
It's just like you can't, like, to your point of like what you're saying, like not trying hard enough for something or being too
Exotic.
fruity, being too what you're saying something about like
Being too safe. Being too safe.
being too safe. Yeah, like you just can't play the sport like that. You can't play restrained or whatever, because competitive volleyball doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
We won't let
volleyball.
you.
Huh?
We won't let you.
We won't.
If we find out.
Yes, we are going to be circulating in gyms.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And we will take you off the court. If you think you weren't getting playing time now,
Yeah. Yeah.
wait till
we
come to your gym.
Yeah. So you never know. We're going to be like elf on a shelf. You know, we're going to be watching.
Mm-hmm.
And so
To make sure you're playing, showing up on time, hustling,
what?
doing the hustle.
No, that's stupid. Meach, I'm sick of that joke. Anyway,
Are you?
Yep.
Okay. Let's do it next week too.
that's our new theme song.
It'll be back.
We should end the show with the hustle.
Yeah,
It's probably illegal. I don't think we have the rights.
maybe. But maybe we could do, what's the big idea? Something like that.
Now everybody thinks that that's Meach's voice. on the-
Yeah,
I did it well. didn't
wow,
I?
Yeah,
you
it
did it
did
really well.
shockingly well. I thought,
Yeah.
who's playing the jingle?
Can you imagine how many
That was
times
actually way
I've
too
heard
good.
that? Oh my gosh.
What's the big idea? Oh,
Next.
no,
That was
I've
also
done it.
pretty good,
No, I've
yeah.
done it. Eric, your turn.
Your turn.
What's the big idea?
Oh, that's not bad.
Excellent.
Maybe
kind of a country swang to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swang?
Swang.
Twang.
Twang.
Swang.
Yeah. Yeah, twang. I
Swing,
prefer twang.
swang.
Swang flu. Anyway, hey, which one of us do you think is doing the voice on the intros? Tell us in the comments, guys.
Now's your chance. If you wanted to tell us before or didn't want to tell us before,
Yeah.
tell us now.
What do you guys think? Tell us in the comments section below.
Yeah.
Have you ever been scared on the volleyball court?
And that's a wrap.
Tell us on this. Tell us in the
Yeah, it's time to get to this.
No. We have more. I have more. Do the extras. Learn to be grateful that this is learn to be grateful that this is your bad. How about that? Some perspective. If your biggest problem is that the coach isn't playing you and you're not getting your playing time, how about some perspective that, there's people doing a lot worse real problems. If this is my bad, if this is my hell on earth, which is what parents and players think it is, how about understanding that that's not this is not major, and teaching your kid that this isn't major, and again connecting with all the other hard work and lessons. But
Nothing gets more sympathy from the coach if you're not getting enough from the coach. Don't go there. Then my bad. What's he gonna say if you own up to that?
So wait a minute, I said that this when I don't think you understood what I said at all.
Repeat.
Meach,
What he's saying is
Meach
just
just heard the word bad.
No.
like everything will
Okay.
pass. Like it's such a
Well,
tiny
just be.
little
How
thing.
about just be grateful that this is our nightmare. If this is what we're going
Yeah.
home and screaming about and arguing about for a 3-hour car ride home, and this is what we're like
God, I hope
livid
not.
about and typing up angry emails, and like, we should be very grateful that this is our worst thing that's going on in our world.
Who are we grateful to?
Who are we grateful to? To the universe.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. All right.
like just
All right.
just grateful that we're lucky. We're lucky if this is our bad. Some perspective is what I'm getting at there.
Right.
Because that
So
was
you
part
have
of
to,
the.
you have to have the courage to give that and say that.
Why are you doing those hand
My
gestures?
bad.
Like an 80s lounge.
So
So you're saying
you could have said just have some perspective.
So you're saying sorry, Meach is still trying to act like he was listening to what I said before.
Okay.
So you're trying to connect that irrelevant point to my. So
Only if your point was irrelevant.
no,
You're not saying it was irrelevant.
You're trying to connect your irrelevant point to my.
No, mine's not irrelevant
poignant
because
point.
it adds on to
Poignant.
yours.
So the kid saying my bad is them.
is you saying also that they're grateful.
I think you shouldn't have used the term "my bad." Like if
Yeah.
and that he's using it in the
It's like
phrase
It's
"my
like
bad."
Eric's trying to have a conversation with me. Like if Meach isn't here, I think the problem is that this.
Pay attention.
I think the problem is that this thing next to me thinks that. Hey,
This guy beside me.
He's got headphones. He's got headphones.
I'm crazy.
So what you're trying to say is have some perspective.
I have some
this
perspective
is
and
the-
be
If
happy.
this is the shitty thing at the end of the day,
Yes.
it's not. Yeah.
If this is your pile of shit, it's not a bad pile of shit. You're still playing volleyball
Yeah.
and getting a chance to work out. And,
Be
but I know
able
that's
to say, my bad.
what's the big idea?
What's the big idea?
Oh, that's- well, it means I was getting better. Embrace the struggle is what I was getting at there. Embrace the struggle. You are learning to deal with idiots sometimes if you're the person who's getting ripped off. So, bottom line, sum it up. Kids, parents, if you're not playing, make sure you're doing everything that you can control. Don't stop doing positive things. Don't get jaded. Work your ass off. We don't swear on the show. And then you...
Shitty situations are good.
Shitty situations are good. Take it, understand the perspective that's happening, and then work your ass off. If it matters to you, work your ass off and play with no fear. Right? It's a gift. I'm telling you, that is the number. I honestly, if you can convince a young player to play with no fear and very loose, it is so much of a gift. Like that's the number one thing. Like that's like that'll tell you how much ability they have, right? Because you have a lot of kids with ability who are playing scared.
Totally. Yeah.
But if you can liberate them from that fear, that's just a gift. So that's my favorite thing to tell parents. Like, the kid who goes back to serve and they're terrified, they're gonna miss. You saw this in the World Cup's going on. You see some player, popular thing, like some commentators and players and even athletes, you can tell who's gonna miss their penalty shots. Right, you can tell the guy or girl in the women's scenario too, who you can tell by their eyes or free throws. You ever have that where you're watching a sporting event and you tell they're not ready for this, or they're not into this, or they're terrified of messing up, and then they're gonna miss, or they're gonna kick it too close to the keeper or something, or it's a very powerful gift if you can walk into the court and feel free, play free. Wow, just wow.
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 All right, anything else, Meach?
That's everything.
I think there's only one thing left to do, Meach.
Oh, I was waiting for this time.
What is it?
I don't know.
We're gonna do the hustle. Eric, join us.
I'm playing the drums.
Oh, you're not. No, there's no drums in this part of the hustle.
at all.
It's all rollerblade,
Yep.
roller skate.
Synthesizer, maybe.
What is that? What is that?
That's the Windophone.
Is that the sound of the hustle, perhaps? Anyway, I'm gonna stop this damn thing.
Could be. Why are we doing this?
What's the big idea?